the first time I heard Big Sugar on the radio, where it had that impression on me, because we had been to radio stations and they played Dear Mr. Fantasy or they played Ride Like Hell. I'd been to a couple of radio stations, but I always got the sense that as soon as we walked out the door, they weren't going to play it again. That's a different kind of a thing. I was in Medicine Hat, Alberta, my mom and dad's house, driving around in a 1970 Dodge Charger that only had an AM radio. And I was driving around the prairie in that little farm town and listening to the radio, just twisting the dial, old AM radio, mono speaker, AM radio, baby. And I heard Diggin A Hole coming across, and all hits all the time kind of AM radio station. It wasn't a cool rock station. They played Tears of a Clown. They played, some Fleetwood Mac. They played stuff from current to oldies. And all of a sudden the song had just come out and they were playing it. And I went, wait a minute, when you're getting played on a station even your parents would listen to, it's crossed over into a different thing, But again, like I said, the big thrill for us was seeing it on TV, seeing it on video. Always to us in that era counted for a lot. We played a gig in Vancouver. Hemivision hadn't been released yet. They were about to release the single, and it was our first big label release. And so everyone at radio was ready for it. They were waiting for it, the new Big Sugar. And we were at Seafox in Vancouver. We had a gig the next day. And we were on this festival site talking to the radio station, and we had the record with us. And so they were going to play it. Let's play the track. Can we be the first station to play the new Big Sugar? I'm like, yeah, you can. I looked at the manager and went, what's the first single? And he went, well, I think it's Gone for Good, but I don't know. I'm not sure of that. Like, we can make a call, buddy. Like, they're going to play it now live on the air. So we just looked at each other and said, just play the first song, which was Diggin A Hole. And we got so much reaction to that first spin of that first song on that record that the whole thing changed course. And then they just went, U-turn, it's Diggin A Hole now. It was supposed to be Gone for Good, but Diggin A Hole it is, because you already blew the top off numbers with just, you guys playing it by accident. That's the song. So that was the song.
Yeah, and that's such a unique song. I mean, nothing else sounded like it. The vocals have a unique production on them. So it sounds like they're either a megaphone or a high pass filter or something. Do you remember the choice of that production style? Do you remember that moment? Can you share that at all?
Remember when I said we didn't care? We had this song and we'd recorded the bass and the drums and the guitars, and I still hadn't done the singing. And Mr. Chill, our harmonica guy at the time, he had not done his track yet. So I was just trying to show him it was a little different than we'd been playing it live. And when we played it live, we kind of went, oh damn, it's saying I got a low battery. I will go down and plug it in the studio. Let's just so our conversation doesn't die. So we changed it a little bit from how we were playing it live. And so I was showing Kelly Hoppy, who had his harmonica mic, through a guitar amp. This is what we used to do with a harmonica in those days, get that nice distorted, crunchy sound. So Kelly was plugged in and ready to do a take. And I was sitting on a chair next to him, holding the harmonica mic. And I would say, okay, look, you play in between the singing parts. So I'll look, just so you know what we're doing. I'll sing and then you play your part, right? That way I can show you where it is. And we'll just do it together. And if you could, the part where I go Diggin A Hole, if you can sing in that part too, that'd be great. Okay, well, let's just practice it. Hit record. One take. Okay, so I kind of mapped it all out for him. So you got that now? Yeah, you good? Cool, because we're done. We're done. We're only do that. No, that. What are we going to do? Make that better? You can't make that better. That was great. So it's one take. We did it once. We did it that day. That's the one take we did. We did to dig in a hole. It's the harmonica and the vocals all at the same time in one mic, both vocal parts and the harmonica. So because nobody thought that digging a hole was going to be anything. We just dug it. We just really liked it. You know, that was just a funky kind of a blues thing that we used to do in the show and sing into the same mic. We didn't know it was going to be something. And then it got played on the radio. And then the record company said, oh, can we get, we're going to get someone to remix it without that effect on the vocal. I'm like, well, I got bad news for you. That's not an effect on the vocal. That's the vocal. That wasn't supposed to be anything. And not like we would have changed it if we could, because we, like I said, we didn't really care about anything except just making cool music. And to us, that was the blues. That was just really cool, you know? And that's the thing that made the song stick out. And it's funny that, you know, a year and a half later, Soundgarden's new single had the same vocal sound. And that sort of became a thing that bands did, was that distorted megaphone vocal, Rage Against the Machine, people like that. No one had that on their record when we put that out. And so it just made me kind of, there's always that, the sweet I told you so after the fact with the record label guys, where you go, yeah, remember when you guys hated that, and now every song in the top 10 has that vocal sound in it. Are you ready? Are you done now? You done complaining? So yeah, that was just if you want to know where that vocal sound came from, it's our one take attitude to, you know, sometimes the exploration of that first take, you can't replicate it again.
Just something natural and organic came out of it, and you'd just be trying to duplicate that first take over again.
Yeah, no, it sounds insincere after that.
So Diggin A Hole becomes your first top 10 single. The strength of that single pushes that album to go platinum. So your first platinum album. And I have some kind words from one of the songwriters on that song. This is from Andy Curran of Coney Hatch and the new supergroup Envy of None, featuring, we talked about Alex Lifeson of Rush. So Andy says, please give Gordie a big hello. We met through our mutual pal, Dan Gallagher. Dan and I had written a song together called Diggin A Hole. Gordie got his hands on it and added some magic to what we started. I'm very proud of what we all did together. He's an awesome guitarist, and I love how he was able to merge reggae and rock and do it extremely well. Give him a virtual man hug and tell him Danny's song, Drugstore Jesus, is another we co-wrote, and he needs to step in and help finish it. So that's Andy.
Wow, Andy, I forgot about that. Yes. Yeah, Dan died many years ago, and that really shook us up, man. He was my best pal and running partner. That guy, you know, he had a really successful career as a VJ, right? Remember we had VJs, TV personality and host, and he was just a really popular guy. He did a bit of sports broadcasting, and he was my best running buddy in those days. And he's someone who really believed in Big Sugar and that we could be a rock and roll band. Dan Gallagher paid for the Ride Like Hell video. He gave me $1,200 out of his pocket to pay a video director to go and shoot. And we went to Detroit because I knew all these places, like cool, bombed out, deserted places in Detroit from when I grew up there. I was like, oh, I knew all these great places we could go shoot for free, no location fees. Like Toronto was already, you know, charging people location fees and stuff. Like, oh, hell no. Let's go to Detroit. Nobody cares. Let's go. Danny paid for that video. Um, Dan Gallagher paid for us to record Dear Mr. Fantasy. He thought that would be a great song for Big Sugar. I was like, I've always known that song. I've known, wow, I know that from when I was a kid in Detroit. I heard that on the radio all the time. Old Traffic, Steve Winwood song. Like, you guys should cover that because Kurt Cobain just died. You guys should do Dear Mr. Fantasy, but think about Kurt Cobain when you're singing it because those lyrics are about Kurt Cobain. I'm like, what? Yes, they are. Oh my God. Hey, man, like what an astute observation to dig way back to 1969 to find a song that was relevant, uh, you know, by then in the 90s. So we did. We went in the studio on his insistence and recorded Dear Mr. Fantasy, and that got some radio play and got record labels interested and things like that. So yeah, Danny was a big influence, man. He co-wrote Diggin A Hole, Open Up Baby, 100 Cigarettes. I probably would have just kept on writing. Better get used to it. Would have kept on writing great songs with Danny Gallagher. So I'm gonna have to hit up Andy and figure out where the lyrics to Drugstore Jesus went.